Okay, well, now that we're done screwing around, back on the old 7300. Got these last 4 bearings, well, 6 bearings, but the transmission bearings aren't here yet. And those will be like 20 minutes a piece. Those aren't a big deal. So I got that bearing, the one back there, and then the two on the other side. We'll start here since this is the only one that doesn't require removing a bunch of crap to get to it. Yeah. I went and checked on my wheat yesterday. It was shelling all right, but it wasn't really, it was still a little soft. I heard there was a couple of guys started cutting Saturday, because today's Monday. This long weekend's got me all screwed up. There's a couple of guys started cutting Saturday, and the numbers I was hearing from them was like mid-15s, which at that moisture you'd have to throw it in a bin and put a fan on it to pull it down to around 13 to get it to where you're not going to get docked, if they'll even take it that wet. So I'm in no huge hurry. It'll probably be at least another week yet. It probably would have went this weekend if it wasn't for all the rain. But I don't have a whole lot of high hope for yield or test weight because of the lack of rain we had. And then when we did start getting rain, it was the heads had already produced the grain. The rain helped fill it out a little bit, so. But won't know until it starts going in the bin. So anyway, I guess get some tools out and get after it. Okay, got the bolts out. These are just press fit bearings. There's friction and the bolts are the only thing that retain them, so we shall see what happens. They got puller lugs built into the housing. Oh, this is how it's gonna be, huh? Oh, well, some bitch. That scared me. Okay, now that it's moving, I feel safe getting on it with an impact. This whole no shit. Well, that's probably my one for the day. It's not like rough yet, but it's definitely dry. You can hear it. So it was time. Of course, they're still green, so they're 50 years something odd year old bearings, whatever they be, from 1972. I'm guessing that I'm gonna have to look in the parts book and make sure. That looks awful purpose built. Got some damn cereal bugs in there. Huh. Alright, well, I'm gonna go look in the parts book real quick and make sure that this washer is something that belongs. I mean, I'm assuming it belongs there because it doesn't look like that bearing has been off the entire life of this combine. Seeing as how it's still got green paint on it. And we will go from there, eh? Huh. This one's actually got a shoulder turned up on the cylinder shaft for that bearing to butt up against. I don't recall. Yeah, they would have had to have on the 525. It wouldn't make any sense to have that thing just free floating. But that's been a year ago and I've slept since then. Okay, so the washer's supposed to be there. They call it a bearing shield. And obviously when I pulled the bearing off, the cylinder shaft dropped, so I had to hillbilly rig something up to keep the cylinder up so I could drive the bearing back on. But it works. And I got the shaft cleaned up and there's anti-seize on there, so hopefully she goes back on without a fight. The new bearing went in the housing with a fight, so hopefully that was the end of it. Oh, that's nice. That was real nice. That was surprisingly nice. And now I need a punch to drive it on the rest of the way. There she be. That was probably my one decent one for the day. All the rest of them are probably going to come hard. So I guess I'll throw the bolts back in that one and we'll start working on that one. Okay, so this pulley is the easy one. It's held on with 2 pinch bolts to drive a chisel in the slot, and once it's loose, which it is, it might take a little bit of persuasion with the crowbar, but normally they just slide right off. Normally. This one might make me take the damn belt guard off, which I was trying to avoid, but oh, there we go. Hitting on the belt guard right on the damn bottom. Yep, maybe that did it. The worst part about this one, A, it's an aluminum pulley, so you can't get too rowdy with it because they will break. And B, there's not really a good way to get behind it. And C, I'm pretty sure they put this one on backwards because it's got a machine surface and then the other side is not. So you can get a puller to bite this side. You cannot get a puller to bite the other side because all it wants to do is slip. So you got that going for you. And it just fucking broke. Fuck! Okay, well, might as well finish up this part of the project before we worry about that pulley, so I gotta get this guy off. lock the cylinder so this thing won't turn. See what that gets me. This one might require a little heat. Yep. Okay, see if that gained me anything. Probably not, because the vast majority of the hub is on the back side. I hate the heat back there because I can't see. Nothing. Well, I think it just popped. I'm assuming that's what that was. Nope, that was not what that was. What was that? Must just been the torch popping. Well, while I got tension on it, I'm gonna get the air hammer, see if that can't persuade it a little bit. All right, well, I gave up. Well, I didn't give up. I backed off on the other side of the beater shaft for the time being, so I had to let the shaft cool down. And I came back over here to the other side of the cylinder shaft to do this bearing. And first off, I had to get the sprocket hub off, which put up a little bit of a fight. I had to heat it up, and it still didn't want to move, so I heated it up again, and that must have got enough of a gap opened up that it would take some WD-40 through the set screw hole. And like on the other video, everybody said, soak it. Why aren't you soaking it down with WD-40? Use WD-40, use PB Blaster. The only luck I have ever had getting WD-40 or a PB Blaster to work on stuff that A, is this rusted, and B, is laying flat instead of standing up where gravity can help you get it down on the shaft, is to heat it to get a gap opened up and then spray it, and the heat will suck that shit right in. That's the only luck I have ever had getting WD-40 or PB Blaster to help on a horizontal shaft like that. So I don't even waste my time soaking shit down. If it's vertical, that's a different story, because if you got a little bit of a recess or a chamfer, you can get it filled up and the gravity will help pull it down through. But that's the only luck I've ever had, so I don't waste my damn time with it. So I reheated that pulley on the other side I'm fighting and sprayed it down real good. I got to take some through the keyway, and I got to take some through the set screw hole. So that's been sitting like that for about 30 minutes while I've been fighting with this. But anyway, back to this. I had to heat it up. Got to take some WD-40. Got a shit ton of tension on the puller, and smacked it one time with the air hammer. And it was kind of cool to watch, because I was standing on the end of it with the air hammer, and I was looking right on the puller, and you could watch the puller relax as soon as I smacked it with the air hammer, and that thing drew up. And I had to do that a little bit, but I was pulling on it so hard that it actually like drilled a hole into it like cut a hole in the shaft. That sucker was not coming off. And then our 2-jaw, 3-jaw would not reach back to get a hold of the bearing, so we tried our sleeve puller. Well, the jaws on our sleeve puller are too thick to fit between the bearing housing and the side of the combine, so I just went and took a torch and blew a notch in the center race, and I was able to drive a screwdriver in there and open the center race up, and then I just took a die bar and popped it off the shaft, and it walked right off. So unfortunately, I had one casualty. I kind of screwed up the washer a little bit, but I can weld that back shut and sand it off, and you'll never notice it. So 2.5 hours, and I got 2 bearings off, but I still haven't got it replaced yet. Fun. It's giving me a lot of confidence for when I got to get to that one. Okay, so the other side of the cylinder shaft is all back together with plenty of anti-seize, because we ain't doing this again if it ever comes time. Not saying you're not gonna have to get on it with a puller, but this time you'll have to get it on with a puller and a 3/8 ratchet, and you'll spin it right off. Because I just had to tap everything together with a hammer. I don't want it too loose. That means you took too much material off the shaft. And this guy, I've been working on it for about 35 minutes. It was moving with just the puller and the air hammer, and then it bound up again, so I put a little bit of heat to the hub, and then I was moving it with the puller and the air hammer again. And now I got it to where it's moving tough, but it's moving without the air hammer, so I think I'm going to try to put the impact on it and see if I just drag it off, because I moved it. Probably can't see with the camera. Oh yeah, you can. I moved it probably 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch, and now it is moving. But I cleaned up the shaft up to the face of the pulley, so once you get it like halfway off, it should start coming easy, in theory. It's too hot for this crap, I tell you what. See if I can get you a vantage point here. Maybe. Should just be able to put you, we can put you right here. It's gonna echo like a son of a bitch up there, but I can put you there. Okay. Come on, baby. Oh. Still a little warm. I'm gonna get my glove on. Gotcha. Wow. That was rough. And the shaft's not even, I mean, it's dirty, but it's not even really rust. I mean, there's some rust there, but it's not as bad as what you would think for as hard as it came. And this pulley, when they got to 7300, they actually beefed it up quite a bit, because on the 525, 35, 45, the cross section, well, they ran a smaller belt. I think this is a 1-inch, and I think my 525 is running a 3/4, if I remember right, but don't quote me on that. But the entire cross section of the web is thinner, and these pulleys are prone to breaking. This is the one for your head drive, and they would break right through here because the pattern's the same. They got the 3 holes in them for your 3-jaw puller and everything. It's just the web was thinner. And the one on my 525, when we got it, was broke. We got one off of a parts combine that wasn't broke, put it on my 525, and then at some point, not long after we put it on there, it broke right here. But it's been broke right there the entire time I've been running it, and it hasn't affected the machine at all, so we just left it because what can you do? But anyway, that guy was a motherfucker. So anyway, I guess go ahead and our puller won't reach that bearing either, so I'll just torch it off and move on with life. It's too hot for this crap. Okay, so me and Teeter Pup came over to the old parts depot, and my Uncle 545 has a pulley on it that is still intact, so we're gonna rob that to replace the one that I just fucked up, and we'll be back in business. Okay, that's all back together, thank God. I've been working on, well, I tore into it at 9:30. It is now 5:15, and I got 3 bearings done. The bearings aren't the hard part. It's getting all the peripheral bullshit off to get to the bearings without breaking it. And then you break it, and then you gotta get new shit. So the way I've been fighting everything is the last bearing I gotta do is that one back there. And to get to that one, I gotta pull that pulley off. Well, this is the chopper drive pulley that just bolts to the hub, but that hub's got a pulley on it, which should come off easy because I already had that one off to put the chopper drive, or put the chopper pulley on there that has the flange to bolt the chopper drive on. Yeah, I had the end pulley off. That one should come off easy. But then there's this double pulley that's got to come off, and then that sprocket's on a hub like this, that's got to come off, and then you got to get the bearing off. And I have fought every single thing I've gotten on or taken off of here. So with that being said, and the fact that I really need to finish getting the combine ready to cut wheat, I think I'm going to hold off on that one until we're done cutting wheat. There ain't nothing wrong with it as of right now. I could have ran, I could have just taken this thing to the field the way it sat, but I wanted to get these bearings changed. So, like I say, I'm going to wait on that one until after get done cutting wheat, because with everything that's got to come off, and the fact that when we did the one on my 525, I started working on it before, at that point I was working second shift. I started working on it in the morning. I worked on it for about 4 hours, which doesn't count because I had to make a puller to get a custom puller to get this this double pulley off, because you can't, with the elevator in the way, get a normal 2-jaw or 3-jaw in there. So I had to make a low profile puller to get that thing off. So I actually worked on it for about 2 hours, actually pulling stuff off. And then Dad worked on it for another 6 hours when he got home to finish up. And then I put it, and then the next morning I worked on it for about another 2 hours to put it all back together. So there's potentially a 10-hour job here, depending on how hard everything wants to come off. So we don't need to burn another day. So like I say, that's gonna wait. I've made the executive decision, that's gonna wait. So I just gotta tighten the walker drive belt back up. I already got my wheat sprocket on after I got this all back together, so that's changed over. I just need to put my chain on, grease it. I'm going to, last year when I was cutting wheat, I had a real bad issue with this thing trying to refeed, which for those of you that don't know, refeeding is the crop comes back up, wraps around the top of the feeder house, the chain drags it back down, and then pushes it back out in the head. Well, it never occurred to me, because I hardly ever have the cylinder open on this thing, because it's not like the 525 where the feeder house comes off and you just look at the cylinder. This has the filler bars in the cylinder for the corn kit. Those guys. Those are only for running corn. That way you can't have a cob go straight through the cylinder in between the rasp bars. You don't need that for wheat or beans. So I'm going to take these out. And that will probably solve my refeeding problem. And it will probably make this thing thresh a hell of a lot better and take bigger bites. And I could probably cut faster because it'll feed better. So I got to get these out of here, which I'm going to do that before I put the chain on so that I can roll it over nice and easy. And then, since I'm going to only be cutting beans with this thing, or beans and potentially wheat with this thing from now on, I don't have to put them back in unless I ever run corn again. So they have to be in there for corn. You can have them in there for beans. I used to run my 525 with them in, and then I took them out, and oh my god, the night and day difference it made. That thing, green stems, tough beans, dews on, it don't give a shit. If you slow down enough to be practical with it, that thing will eat anything with those filler bars out. So we're going to do that on this and hopefully cure my refeeding problem. But outside of that, that's really all I got left to do to it. Slap the head on it, grease or lube the head, and make sure everything runs, and we should be ready to cut wheat. So yeah, and then once we get done with wheat, all I have to do to it is change the oil, change that bearing, and finish putting the chopper on it for beans. And I got to put the new style latches on it to hook up to that flex head I got. So that'll be all that's left to do to this thing after these bearings. Oh, and I'll have to wait till Wednesday to do anything, because I got that one bearing over there in the brake drum that is out, and we don't need to be tearing anything up. So still waiting on that. Should be here Wednesday. So yeah, with all that being said, it's getting late enough. I'm gonna get all my tools put away, get everything kind of cleaned up a little bit. I'll go ahead, I'm probably gonna pull them cylinder or them blank out bars out tonight, because it's easier to do without the head on it. I'll get the head slapped on it tonight, and tomorrow I'll bring it down and grease it and check it over, make sure everything's good to go. And then hopefully Wednesday I'll have my bearings, we can slap those in. And as long as it doesn't rain, because we got a 50% chance of rain Wednesday, nothing Thursday, and a 50% chance of rain Friday, nothing Saturday, and a 50% chance on Sunday. So hopefully we're back in the pattern where 50% means nothing for the time being, and then we get done cutting wheat and it can go back to we get rain again. But hopefully we miss the rain Wednesday. If it's not raining Wednesday and it doesn't take me too long to change these bearings, we have the potential to be cutting wheat Wednesday afternoon. At least get the field opened up and then hit it Thursday. So I guess that's where we're at.
I never in a million years figured those bearings would turn into this kind of a project. I figured I'd have them all knocked out in a day, but this is insane. The only thing we had to fight on a 525 was that upper shaft, right, or this side of the beater shaft, because I had all the shit on it. The other ones all came off relatively easy. This has just been nuts. But it all went back together, and the shafts were emery cloth till you could see yourself in them, and they got half a can of anti-seize each. So if we ever got to do this again, at the most you'll have to put a puller on it, get onto the ratchet it off, do your thing. I even put the bearings back in the housing with anti-seize. So yep. Hope I haven't been talking too much for you, Alaskan rock farmer, you son of a bitch. If you guys didn't see that comment, you won't understand, but if you find the comment, you'll understand. So, anyhow, I guess that's it for this one. We'll catch you guys on the next one. Hopefully the next one will be cutting some wheat.